All right. Hi, everyone. Today we have Jillian from Tuxedo Den, a boutique rental and sale experience here in Midtown Sacramento. Jillian, can you tell us a little bit more about Tuxedo Den and what we can expect at Tuxedo Den?
Yeah, I absolutely can. So we've been a household name for over 60 years. And in the last 10, my partner and I have been moving more toward a more modern boutique experience for our couples. So we've really worked hard, especially in the last few years, of setting ourselves apart from the big box stores. You're all used to the experience of walking into some of those stores and sitting behind a catalog and having someone who's been there 6 months explain to you about picking which swatch that's this big out of the catalog. And we've tried to really go away from that. So now we're moving toward that boutique feel. So when you come in with your fiance, you've got a stylist that helps you figure out what you want, how you want it to look, and actually help you style it for your big day using the actual suits. They're there. You can see them. We've got most of our popular styles actually on mannequins, so on dress form. So you're able to see them and know, okay, this fits really nice. Now let me see it on me. And that's one of the things that really sets us apart from every other company, is that you're actually able to come in and not only work with your stylist, picking out live clothing, but then trying it on. And you're having that consultation of, I really like the way this pant fits, and I want my jacket to fit this way, and oh, I like this color on me. So things that you just don't get to do really anywhere else.
Yeah. So speaking of different colors, let's talk about the different styles, current styles versus classic styles. What's in this year? What's staying in this year? Tell us more.
So we're seeing a lot of the classic black and white, which has really taken up a lot of the market this year. I've got so many couples that are doing classic tuxedos and really keeping it very upscale, elegant. But something fun that's really coming in for this year that I know was hinted at a lot in last year and in 2022 towards the end is tans, that really pretty sage color. We're seeing a lot of eucalyptus. In the past few weeks, I've been seeing a lot of couples coming in actually looking for green suits, which I saw a lot of in 2023, but now we're more into the lighter earth tones, so like the eucalyptus tones and the sage tones, which is really pretty awesome as a suit color. So that's exciting.
That is awesome. So when you go in to get your suit and you're looking at the different things, what different cuts are there? What should we be looking for? Are there cuts that are now out? Are they, always classic styles in?
Yeah. Well, actually, no. So it's changed a lot. Obviously, everybody knows that, if you want something very fitted and very tailored. I know a lot of my couples come in, especially back to reference to the classic tuxedo, where they come in and they want that really skinny pant. We're seeing that a lot, just kind of across the board in any suit. But we get a lot of couples that are also worried that, well, I'm not the slimmest, so I don't necessarily want a slim fit. Yes, you always want a slim fit. Let your stylist help you figure out what looks good for you. Your end result is that you want your suit to look like it was tailored for you. So that's part of actually something else that we do, is that we've developed a way to tailor our rental garments. So it's just something fun that helps us get you the best fit instead of being stuck with something that just kind of fits and doesn't really look like a tailored suit. And so the goal is to get you into a pant that's tapered for you. The coat fits nicely through your shoulders and your waistline, not just fitting your shoulders and hoping for the best.
Yeah, that's amazing. I guess that goes back to tailoring too, because that's one thing that a tailor isn't going to be able to fix, is the actual shoulders and back. So that's where it's got to fit you. Everywhere else, the tailor can fix it for you.
That's right. Yes, we try to avoid messing with the shoulders. We definitely want to get something that fits you right in the first place, and then tailor out the rest of it.
Yeah, can be tailored and what cannot be tailored.
That's a great question. So when we start talking about rentals, we all know. Okay, we've all seen. Right, our groomsmen and our wedding party members that come in with those super baggy pants because they had to be able to fit, the thighs and the hips, and now all of a sudden the bottom is just super baggy. That's one of our more common tailoring on our rental side of things. We actually will not only hem, lengthen and shorten the pants and lengthen and shorten the sleeves, we'll actually also taper the pants so that if you've decided on a particular sage suit, for instance, but you need it to fit a little bit slimmer, that's something we can do for you. Another rental alteration that we would do is we'll actually take in the body of the coat, and we're able to do that, which works out really well for our athletic fit grooms who need that little extra in the waistline taken out. So that's really nice. And then when we start getting into our bespoke suits and when people are purchasing, obviously there's a lot more tailoring. We do our tailoring in-house on site. So we do a full tailoring consultation with your bespoke suit. And there's honestly anything that a full tailor can do, we can do. So we do everything from taking in the body of the coat, slimming sleeves, hemming, customization, which is pretty common. Of course, there's really a lot that can be done in terms of tailoring.
That's amazing. I had no idea that it was even possible to do some of the things that you just mentioned.
Yeah.
So back to current trends. I've also been seeing a lot of mix and match patterns. So I have the feeling, like talking to my husband, he was like, that's something I could never do. But I feel like that's something that your consultant can definitely help you with. Like, how do you, I wouldn't say like push, but encourage your groom to step out of their comfort zone to try some of those different mix and match patterns or even a bold pattern?
Well, I think that's the important part, and that's really the difference, is that you're in the store, you're working with your stylist to figure out what you want. And while you may be intimidated by some of the different colors and textures that we can play around with, sometimes actually trying them on or seeing them, some of my clients honestly don't want to try on. Sometimes they just want to see it. They're not ready to try on quite yet. I'll dress a mannequin for them. It is really like playing with big Barbies, but it's a whole lot of fun and it looks really cool. And so I will dress an entire look. I will style an entire look for them right there on the mannequin with, say, like a contrast tweed vest. And actually for a while, that was one of our most popular customized looks, would be a blue suit with a gray vest and a burgundy tie. And we saw that a lot. So styling and playing with the different textures, tweed, linen also is very popular. And then any really lightweight fabrics. We're seeing a lot of shark skin that's also really popular, which is kind of cool. So
that is awesome.
I like that everybody's playing with the colors and the textures a little, and seeing it in person makes a big difference. And believe it or not, it's not really that hard to get people to at least step out of their comfort zone temporarily. Whether or not they go that route permanently for their wedding, that's a different question. But we've been doing this a long time. I myself have been doing this 12 years. My partner's been doing it for 30. There's a lot of knowledge in our store, and a lot goes into helping couples figure out what works for them. And that's the point of the consultation, is to learn about you, figure out what you like, what your fiance likes, the overall theme of your wedding, and suggest to you things that will help you fit everything in. You may not take all of our suggestions, but at least you'll get to see them and you have a good time experiencing that.
So when you're looking at like the different suits, like what ties or bow ties or like accessory things should they be looking at, trying, those different things?
So I always recommend to my clients, they start with we call it a traditional groom's look. You're going to start with a white or an ivory to match your fiance, okay? And that's just something that we do just so you can see that kind of formality. But a lot of my couples are actually going with something I'm seeing a lot of is monotone. So I'm seeing someone that might do, let's say, for instance, a navy blue suit. They might do the exact same fabric as their bow tie, so it looks very chic. Or I'm seeing a lot of florals, again, with the tweed, and a lot of cotton. So we're seeing a lot of cotton ties. So that's really interesting, and cotton and floral together a lot. But definitely trying different things. I'd say it's kind of back to maybe 50-50 on bow tie versus tie right now. I've got a pretty good mix. I think for a while there, everybody was leaning really heavily on the bow tie, but I'm doing a lot of ties now. So I think it's kind of leveling out.
Have you seen a change in the type of ties? Are we going skinny ties, thicker ties? What are we doing for ties now?
So a little bit. So yes, it's kind of a hard question. So it's been slim ties now for quite some time. For, I don't know, 7 or 8 years ago, it went to like the really skinny, like pencil ties, just for a very short period of time. They didn't stay around long. Right now we're at a slim tie. It looks very clean. It works on everybody. I am starting to see some clients though that are actually opting to go back to a standard tie. So a full width tie where it produces a really, really big knot. And I think that has something to do with double breasted coming back into play as well. They like that it captures more of the tie color that stands nice against the double-breasted feature of the coat or the vest.
So I've also been seeing with accessories and different shoe styles, boots are coming back in this year.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, not everybody wants to do a cowboy boot, but how could you maybe put that into a more
So actually, there are more formal dress boots. So we see a lot of people that do like the Chelsea boots that are really popular, whether they do a zip or a tie. Personally, I prefer the tie boots or like a brogue on a boot is really nice so that you're getting a little bit of texture and pattern on the boot itself. I've got a new line actually coming back. It's coming back in, I should say. So it's not really new, but it's coming back in and it's actually the closest I can liken it to is kind of like spats on a boot. It's really neat. So the top is like a tweed. I've got one that's a houndstooth, and then it's got a beautiful leather sole and brogue toe. It's gorgeous. And so things like that where you can actually play a lot with your boot styles. You don't necessarily have to do a cowboy boot. I've had some clients that do more of a traditional. They look to me a lot like somebody took a work boot and just made it look really, really nice. So it laces up high. It's got that really heavy, cool lace, things like that. So it's really about showcasing your personal style. I would say that to you whether you were doing a boot or I've got some clients that still do Chuck Taylors. I know those were popular for a little while. They are still around, Chuck Taylors with your wedding suit or Vans. We're doing a lot of black Vans. So there's a lot of fun ways to showcase your personality with your accessories.
Yeah, I love that Tuxedo Den will help men, work in their own personal style so they're not being lost in the wedding and still be, have that experience of being featured and special and everything else. So when should you start looking and purchasing your wedding party attire?
That's a tricky question. I know a lot of the magazines that are out for my couples will recommend usually starting to shop for the men's attire 2 to 3 months ahead of time. I am starting to see that shift a little with what's being recommended. I'm here to tell you that if you have a specific look that you want and you are already ahead of the curve, you've got your dress, you've got your venue picked out, you've got which friends are standing up there with you, start looking right away. It's never too soon to call in and talk to a consultant. Now, if you are doing going pretty traditional, a blue suit, a gray suit, a green suit, colors that are readily available in the rental world, and you've got everything set up, then I would say great, give us a call, maybe 6 months out, we'll plan for you. Easy. If you want to go custom or you want something that is hot pink sparkle with a purple lapel, then we might need to plan a little bit more ahead of time. Obviously, that's like the most outrageous example I could have given, but we do a lot of fun custom looks. So if you want something specific, it's never too early to call in. And when you call me, we'll talk to you and we'll figure out what works for you, and I will give you a more custom timeline. The safe bet is 6 months. Mainly so that way you're right in that sweet spot. You're not too late, but you're not so close to your wedding that.
What should you do to prepare for your appointment?
Oh, that's a good question. So talk to your fiance. Please don't just come in. A lot of times partners will come into me and they've just been told, well, go get your look, right? Because the bride's going to go out and just get her dress. She's not talking to the groom about that at all. And then she says, okay, well, we'll just go get a tux. But then they don't talk about the flowers, or he may know the venue, but he doesn't know anything about what the venue looks like or how it's, or what color she's wearing. I don't know if a lot of you brides know this, but a lot of wedding dresses are not white. They are off-white. You don't know that until you buy your dress. So, there's a lot of questions that we will ask, figure out what it is you guys want the end result to be. Because you're going to pay for your photography. You want to be able to look at those pictures the rest of your life. You should have an agreement of what you want those photos to look like. So talk about what you want to see, what you don't want to see. Pictures are always helpful. So a lot of our couples, I know it's really common for our brides to have Pinterest accounts and set up a whole board. Get on it, guys. Go get started. Look at Pinterest. Figure out what you like. Look at other people's wedding photos. Figure out what you like and you don't, so that when you come in and I start asking you questions, you have the answers and you're not wondering and you're not thrown off.
Should your entire wedding party come with you?
No, please don't do that. Don't do that. No. I know it's a lot of fun, and I do have an answer to help with that fun. We do want you to bring your whole group, but not to your first consult. Your first consultation should be you and your fiance. Occasionally, I do get couples that they don't want to see each other's looks. They do want there to be just that wall, and we're not going to see. Bring a friend. We're happy to help you. We're not crazy salespeople. We're not going to push you into something, but I know when I'm out shopping, I like to have a friend to bounce ideas off of. this is your wedding. It's important. Bring a friend or a parent or someone that trust to help you make these decisions, just so that you have somebody else to bounce ideas off of. Then we'll schedule family time. So we do one thing that we started about a year and a half ago was basically like a guys' day. So you can come in with your guys, do the whole group thing. You've already chosen your looks at this point. You're going to come in, bring the guys, have a good day. We're going to, you can set up, you can bring in a champagne, just to have and make a day of it and hang out with all your guys and make it an experience of getting measured and doing your thing for your friend's wedding versus just, oh, well, I went out and got my measurements in 15 minutes and I was done. We can still do that. But if you want to come in as a group, that's the day we recommend it. We schedule that at your consultation.
I love that because, the ladies do that already. So that's great that the guys are getting in and going to be able to do that as well.
They get pampered, right? It's their wedding too.
Absolutely. I love that they're not an afterthought.
No.
Okay. So on that same note, when you're having your guys' day, what advice would you give if you're feeling pressure from maybe like your bridal party or even a parent to change up a look or do something that you're not comfortable with?
We get this pretty frequently. Normally, we will notice it before the couples do. It's one of the reasons we ask you not to bring your family to your consultation. A lot of people have very strong opinions, and they don't always do it on purpose, and they don't also don't really realize sometimes. Sometimes they do, but most of the time it's innocent, and they don't know that they're really pushing in a way that might make you uncomfortable. So if we don't already notice, it's okay to say something, and we will take care of it. We'll take care of it for you. We'll help you. Nope, we'll change the subject. We'll get them onto something else. We will distract them. Whatever we have to do to kind of help you feel more comfortable in the moment. They're well-meaning, but I know it can be a lot when you're trying to plan a wedding and suddenly your uncle decides he doesn't want to wear the shoes you picked. Happens. It happens.
Well, what advice would you give the grooms for shopping? Like just overall, what advice?
Oh, wow. Well, I think we covered most of it. I mean, really have an idea for what you want. When you come in, we do want you to have a good experience. That's the most important thing, right? So when my couples come in, I want to have fun and I want them to have fun. And that is our motto. That's our company culture. We want you to come in and have a good time. But that being said, you'll need to know what you need because we're going to have you try on. That's true. But you won't come in and try on 5 suits. We're not the same shopping experience as if you were buying off the rack. We do need a direction to go in to make sure that we're making the most of the time that you have, because I've got to be able to not only make sure you have a great experience, but also my other couples that are following you. So definitely have an idea for what you want. If you're coming in on your first, I got a lot of couples. Actually, something that I get is a lot of couples that go out and they just decide they're just going to go out and shop. They don't make appointments. First of all, make an appointment. It's your wedding. You want that one-on-one time. But if you don't, you just want to go out and shop, you can always come to the showroom and look around. And sometimes if you really don't know, if you really just have no idea which direction you want to go, taking a look at the showroom and making an appointment in store is a really good way to go, because I can stop, I can talk to you for a second, help you, point you in the right direction so you can look around. And then when you come back for your actual appointment, you have a direction to go. You're a little closer to knowing what you want. That would be my biggest advice, though, is have an idea for what you want and be comfortable with that and be comfortable telling me what you want.
So if you're a wedding guest, right, and how do you know, like, basically what you should be looking for, whether it's like a black tie versus cocktail versus even like beach cocktail attire? Because I feel like those are so different, and I feel like a lot of guests don't always know what direction to go to because they're not a part of the bridal party, but they also don't want to show up looking inappropriate and underdressed for an event.
That's one of the hardest things that my wedding guest clients deal with. And points to all of the couples that on their wedding website or in their invitation give specifics on what they want their guests to wear, because I get a lot of confused guests that come in. They're like, well, I don't know. And they also don't want to look like your wedding party. That's the other thing. So if you don't have an invitation or a wedding website or something that tells you the direction to go, we will actually take a lot of info from you about where the wedding is, any formality level. A lot of times on the invitation, it will say if it's black tie. If they specifically want you to wear a tux or cocktail attire, they will specify. If they don't, it's a really good idea just to stick with a very simple suit. We take into account the venue. Going to a winery, lots of winery weddings here in California, obviously. Going with just a nice, lightly colored suit for the spring or summer is a really good way to go. So we really do take into account a lot of factors when we help recommend people. So anybody who is kind of trying to pull out of their own closet, that's what I would recommend. If it doesn't say black tie attire or cocktail attire, just go with a nice clean suit, a simple, not too over the top tie, and you're usually safe. Just try to be trendy and, have fun with it.
I love that. So we should probably talk about some do's and don'ts of suits.
Probably a good idea.
So what are some of your do's and don'ts on suits?
Okay. I have a couple. I don't want to rant too much. Okay. So I do see, biggest pet peeve probably in my whole many years is, unbuttoning your shirt under your tie. It drives me crazy. And it's not a huge difference, but if you're going to do it, you do have to be conscious of the fact that you did it. So if you're going to do it before you start taking your wedding pictures, make sure your tie is nice and snug up there. If it's one that you tied yourself, then great. Make sure it's pulled up tight so the collar sits up really nice. If it's a clip-on, then you need to make sure it's tight, right? Because they have the little band with the adjuster. So make sure it's nice and tight so that you're not getting saggy and you can see that your collar is unbuttoned. It takes away from your photos a little bit. So that's my biggest one. And that's one that I would say once a day during our peak season, someone trying on their suit will say, it's okay, I'll just unbutton it. I'm like, don't do that. Let me just make sure it fits. I've got it. We have tricks. I can help you. Yeah, that's my biggest one. I know there's a lot of other do's and don'ts. Obviously, make sure that you are cutting off your tags. A lot of people don't do that. I'm seeing that pretty frequently, especially with the more eccentric fashion jackets. So people buy like a designer jacket or something that's very bold and colored and they leave the label here because they want to show off that label. It's okay to cut it off. I know it's sewn on there, but grab some scissors. It needs to come off.
With that one, I definitely can't let you forget about cutting open your pockets.
Yes. Oh, and opening your vents. Goodness. Yes. So make sure you've opened your pockets. Obviously, you want to open your pocket, square pocket, and then make sure you're double checking the vents on the back of the jacket. So a lot of people walk around with the vents on the back of their jacket still sewn closed. And it's a big flashy sign of, there it is. It says I didn't open it. So definitely open them. That also makes your jacket a little more comfortable so you have more room to move. They're there for a reason.
I love that because that's advice for men and women. If you have a brand new jacket, don't forget to cut that bit in the back.
Exactly.
So I know one thing that's kind of gone out is matching like with your pocket square and tie to like the bridal party.
Yes.
But what advice can you give to still have that look of coordinating, but not necessarily exactly the same matchy?
Well, I mean, honestly, you pretty much said it. It's okay to coordinate and put something complementary. So if all of your bridesmaids are wearing pink, it's okay to do something just complementary to the girls on the other side. If your colors are, dusty sage and like a soft petal, it's okay to have your girls in pink and the guys in green. It's not going to hurt anything, and they are complementary colors. Another way is to play with the patterns. So you can do, again, back to the monotone. You've got everybody in the green suit. It's okay to do a green tie and just mix it up with a pattern, or champagne and other neutral ties. Neutral tie colors are always a good way to go. They're very safe. They look nice with brown shoe, brown belt. And we see them a lot with the earth tone weddings. But definitely playing with your textures. That's a really smart way to complement without going overboard and not being too matchy because again, usually you want to tie in a little bit of your color. A monotone tie and a colored pocket square is one thing that we're seeing actually a lot of. So
I love that. One that I've noticed too that happens every now and then is not tucking in your shirt.
Yeah. So you know what? And I think that maybe is they're coming untucked and more often than not. So just, guys, learn a good tuck. Make sure that it's tucked in there nice and tight. Make sure that you're secured with your belt. Shirt stays actually are starting to come back. So I don't know if you're familiar with what shirt stays are. They actually clip from your shirt to either clipping from your shirt to your sock, or some of them actually are like a garter and they wrap around your thigh. So you've got options there to make sure you're nice and tucked in. They usually would be a little bit more We see them a lot like with the military, but I'm seeing them actually come back with a lot of people wearing formal wear. And now that California has decided to get on the bandwagon of dressing up just a little bit more, not as many flip-flops out there, we're seeing a lot more of the shirt sleeves come in. So yes, but I really do. I think the shirts just come untucked so easily. And there are ways around that. We can help you figure out the right length of shirt so you're not constantly coming untucked.
So we shouldn't be wearing our flip-flops to a wedding.
Probably not, although it is pretty funny when someone comes into my store and tries on just pop the jacket on really quick, but they're in their cargo shorts and flip-flops. It's one of my favorite things. I'm like, that's how you know you picked your tuxedo in California right there.
I love that. Probably another one we should mention is not buttoning your bottom button on your jacket.
That's right. Yeah. So a lot of people don't know this, but yes, you only button your top button. So most jackets are a 2-button. The 3, 4, and 5 are out now, but there were rules for those as well. But yes, only your top button. And it's actually linked. I don't know if I'm going to get this story out all the way, but it was actually linked to, I think, King Henry, like the 8th or something. He had a belly and could not button his vest all the way. So then, because he could not, it became the trend that now no one else would button their vest all the way. And that is how it took off with. Now we just have to leave that bottom button undone. And of just the craziest weird little factoids that you learn, but people ask me all the time, well, why don't you button it? Aside from the fact that I personally think the jacket sits weird when you do it, there's a king that apparently said you can't do it because he has a belly. So, there you go.
That is so funny. I love that.
The most random tuxedo factoid.
Another one that I think we should talk about is elevating your wristwear.
Yeah, so I'm glad watches are coming back in. I will say I notice it a little bit more, especially when I'm coordinating with someone for a tailoring consultation. So pinning out their coat and working with their wristwear. A lot of people are very conscious of whether or not their watch will show. So it's nice to see that they are, and not just wristwear. I'm seeing a lot of people are paying attention to whether or not they're going to wear a watch, whether or not they're going to wear specific jewelry or a hat, special belt buckles. So there's actually a lot of men's jewelry out there. I didn't know there were so many adornments for guys. Who knew?
Absolutely.
So there you go.
So do you recommend that they bring those items in, or at least have those ideas when they're talking to their
Yes. Yeah, definitely have the idea, especially if you're going for a more formal look or something where you want to be specific. It's okay to be specific, but definitely let us know. If I'm fitting you for your suit and I'm on the sleeve part where I'm figuring out how long your sleeves are going to go, we have a standard. And if you want something specific, you just tell me. I'm like, great, let's look at it. A lot of guys, what ends up happening is they'll have their Apple Watch on, and that's what we use as the measurement base, because then for the wedding day, they'll wear a fancy watch. Some of my clients for their final fitting will actually bring their accessories. So over the weekend, I had a client actually that for his birthday was doing a really awesome look with a turtleneck and a very flashy jacket. And so he brought in his own watch and his chain and everything so he could see everything together at his final fitting to make sure he wasn't missing any pieces, and also so that he could get help from his stylist with any other ideas. And so we added on to the pieces that he already had and to the tuxedo that he bought and came up with a fully styled look. So
I love that. So you keep saying flashy. What exactly are the flashy styles? Like, can you give me some examples? Like what types of textiles or pops of opulence are coming back in that people can add to their, tailored tuxes?
So more so on the, I hate to say every day because it's not every day, but on the tuxedo line of things, something that's a little more common for us is velvet. Velvet is absolutely made a comeback. We carry an Ike Behar velvet that is just phenomenal, that people really, really love. And it's black. It's got a peak lapel. It's really a great groom's coat. It looks great for weddings. So velvet has made a comeback in not only black but other colors. We're seeing a lot of paisleys, so a lot of paisley and like jacquard prints on the jackets. And as we go into where it starts to actually get flashy, a combination thereof. So one of our really popular styles for some of our couples this past year has been white jacquard jackets. We have a particular one that's extremely popular right now. I'm certain if you've been planning a wedding in the last year, you have seen it. We call it butterfly jacquard. And that's been extremely popular. And up until recently, the only way to get it was to have it custom made. A couple of the manufacturers got together and decided, well, let's just start making them. And so they did. So now you can buy them ready-made in some different colors, but those are really popping. Those usually are considered a groom's coat. They're usually white or off-white with that pretty pattern, and then either a simple black satin lapel, white satin lapel, or the trend colors. So green velvet, gold velvet, royal blue velvet, and burgundy velvet. And those are like the really hot classic trend colors for that type of jacket. So definitely a little bit louder. And then of course there's all of the little jewelry bits you can add on, like bow tie clips and lapel chains and glitter accents and gold buttons and just all that fun stuff.
I love that. So one of the floral trends I've been seeing a lot of for men especially is like the floral card instead of just a boutonniere, or like the floral lapels. Even I've seen like a floral hat. I don't know if it's like on the brim. It's gorgeous. So if you're planning to do that, is that something you should let your consultant know ahead of time?
Please do. And we cover that partially. So when we go through our consultation, because all of our, especially for rentals, all of our packages are all inclusive. Our goal is to make sure that whether you're renting your suit or whether you're buying your suit, when you leave our store, you have everything that you need and you are not shopping around at 50 other spots. The goal should be for you to have a complete and comprehensive look and not have to then worry about your other pieces after you just spent the time curating the look. So we cover part of that. So when we get to the pocket square, I get a lot of clients that say, no, we're going to do the flower cards. Okay, perfect. Usually my piece of advice there is be cognizant of the flower, pay attention. Certain flowers can kind of make a little bit of a mess, but other than that, you're fine. The floral lapels are absolutely fascinating. I think those are one of the coolest thing ever. I know those are not, you obviously you see the boutonnieres pretty frequently. For those of you that are not familiar with a floral lapel, those usually are massive and they look so cool. And I had my first floral lapel come in to me. He started planning about a year ago. They just got married and they did a Met Gala themed wedding. And I think it was one of the coolest things that I've ever seen, this floral lapel. So I know they're not for everybody because they're very ostentatious. They're pretty loud, but they were so cool. It's awesome. So have fun with your wedding. We'll work around that.
I love that advice. Do you have any other advice for like wedding guests or even like parents of the groom or brides that maybe that they don't think about? Because obviously the groom, he's a main showpiece, but you know, the fathers of the occasion.
Yes. So one of the things that I get a lot when I'm working with my clients, and something that a lot of people don't think about, because everybody thinks about, okay, well, I've got to get my groom outfit. I've got to get all of our party members outfitted. What do I do for dads? And some people don't think about them, and not that they're, not thought of. It's just that you're planning for the guys. You just assume your dad's kind of got his stuff taken care of. Think about it this way. Anyone who's going to be in your professional photography needs to have a look. So you don't have to bring them into me. Although a lot of times my couples opt to bring the dads because we can kind of help soften it all down a little bit for them, because dads can be a little picky. Not calling anybody out here, but it happens. But if they're going to be in your main photography, dads, brothers, your efficient ring bearers, cousins, anybody who's in all of your family photography that you're going to have for the rest of your life, that you're paying all this money for these great photographers, make sure that you have told them what you want them to wear. For your dads, you should be picking the looks for them, especially for whoever is walking you down the aisle. For your efficient, there should be some parameters set, and it's up to you and the formality level of your wedding for you to decide exactly what parameters you give, and if you're going to actually, let me help you pick a look for dad and then send him into me, or if you're just going to tell him, Dad, I need you to wear a black suit. And it's as simple as that. But definitely give some ground rules. That would be my advice across the board for everybody. It is your wedding. You're putting a lot into it. It's your special day. Make sure you give everybody the ground rules to help you have the best special day, because if there are unknowns, it gets confusing and you might end up with the wrong stuff, right? So you want to make sure your guests show up with the right stuff, with all the right attire and knowing what they need to do.
I love that advice. So Jillian will be at the Wedding Showcase on February 25th. Don't forget to stop by her booth and check out all the gorgeous suits that they will have out there displayed.
Yes, I am excited.
Thank you so much.
Welcome.
Well, that was a great segment with Jillian, learning all about the Tuxedo Den and all the different looks that they have for men, and that men can actually go somewhere and feel just as special on his day as the bride does. So
I love that they have that option to definitely make the men feel special, have their own VIP, shindig. That's great. We wouldn't be able to do this show without our sponsors, so we just want to thank them. We want to thank Real Weddings for being our media sponsor.
And then we also want to thank Retreat Salon and Spa as our grand prize sponsor, and they will be with us next week at our next podcast. So be sure to stay tuned to hear all about what they have over at Retreat Salon and Spa.
For our fashion show sponsors, we can't thank enough Carriage House Farms, Our Place Event Space and Kitchen.
And then we also have a VIP lounge sponsor, which is White Moon Rustics. And then we also have Adobo Boink that is going to be serving some nice samples of their fare. So we're really looking forward to our VIP lounge and, of course, our grand prize sponsorship with their wedding basket. You want to tell the people about how they can join for that?
Yeah, so if you haven't already, please head over to our website, and that is weddingshowcase.org to register your wedding. Once you've registered your wedding, you are entered to win all of the prizes that day. Our grand prize is from Retreat Salon and Spa. It is a spa package worth over $1,200. And so that's going to include some facials, some manicures, pedicures, and even more. So definitely head on over to our website, check that out for all of the details, and register your wedding.
And they are luxury items. I mean, those facials, I would love to go and get one of those myself. So that's for everybody, even mom, you can make a day of it. Whoever wins the prize, you can actually make a day of it, and maybe everybody can go get a treatment.
Absolutely.
So thanks again for everybody for joining us. And as we started our tradition,
cheers.